The Islamic Republic of Afghanistan. Iran to the west, Pakistan to the south and east. Landlocked, mountainous, and arid. About the size of Texas, with a population almost the size of Canada's. Afghanistan is one of the world's poorest countries. It's been a battleground for the past 25 years, on the verge of becoming a failed state.
The past 25 years, on the verge of becoming a failed state? This is the country where, in 1841, the British got a bloody nose that prompted Kipling's famous warning to British soldiers: when you're wounded and left on Afghanistan's plains and the women come out to cut up what remains, just roll to your rifle and blow out your brains and go to your God like a soldier. Which doesn't sound like a terribly effective military recruiting slogan. As long ago as Roman times, the region was noted for its poverty and its hostility to outsiders. Now, I'm not saying don't go there. I'm just saying that if you do, you better understand what you're getting yourself into.
Canadian television viewers have become accustomed to seeing our troops slugging it out with Taliban insurgents in the southern provinces. What they are not seeing to the same extent is the work being done by the military's provincial reconstruction teams, otherwise known as PRTs.
I think the military on the ground has to address the security situation, the Taliban, to counter the Taliban, isolate them, deny them mobility, and then provide security for the local population, hearts and minds if you want, and then for them to start a small project of reconstruction. They've built 150 kilometers of road in Kandahar since they've been there in February, 1,000 wells. That's the military projects that have been done with some seed money from SIDA.
No one is denying that Afghans benefit from PRT projects, but the professional aid agencies argue military personnel should not be doing the work that they have not been trained for. The military's role should be to provide security for non-government groups like CARE Canada. CARE has been in Afghanistan since the 1960s and worked throughout the Taliban era.
What I'm most concerned about is that the current militarization of this type of aid, they call it humanitarian aid. When it's done by the Army, it's not humanitarian aid at all. It's hearts and minds aid. Breaks all of those principles and therefore makes the actual humanitarian agencies much more targeted than if there was a clear distinction between what the military is doing and what humanitarian agencies are doing.
What we have to do is sit down and say, this is the situation on the ground as it is now, and let's see where we can work together in various areas.
The problem is that our foreign affairs people and SIDA people really do not understand humanitarian aid, and they're caught up in this pernicious groupthink of the 3 Ds, defense, development, diplomacy, which quite frankly is just nonsense. It's all defense. It's the militarization of humanitarian aid. It's almost zero diplomacy. So what are we talking about?
And the military is now changing its approach. Afghans work on projects requested by village councils, while officers do project management. The Taliban gains no support by destroying projects done by Afghanis.
At the end of the day, the goal that we have as Afghans and the goal that the international community has is to empower the Afghans so that they can take care of their own affairs, whether it's security affairs, whether it's developmental affairs, whether it's the political process. We have done very well in the political process part of it. We're doing fairly well with development, but we think that we can do much better.